Welcome everyone to this section. Once again, my name is Blessing Johnson, and today we are going to discuss on librarianship and related profession. I hope you have the best of your time. Thank you. So, back in the class, as we are going to discuss on the topic electronic librarianship and related profession, and then today's date is the 8th of October 2020. So we are going to look at, first of all, the objectives that we have for this course. Now, the first objective is at the end of the lesson, the student will be able to define the term electronic librarian and then also highlight the duties of an electronic librarian, understand the duties of a librarian in the networked environment, and identify the differently core profession of librarianship. Now, what is or who is a librarian? A librarian is a professional who is concerned with the acquisition, collection, storage, processing, and dissemination of recorded knowledge in the library, and that is done virtually. Also, an electronic librarian can also be known as a person who identifies, evaluates, and stays current with the emerging trends, resources and standards in electronic library and resource management, data management, and easy access to material and discovery to enhance library services. Now, in simple terms, we could understand a library as that person or the staff that you see in the library who helps users to be able to get their information resources, or someone that is there to attend to your information need. Now, what are the core duties of these librarians? Now, the first duty of a librarian is to select and acquire information materials. They are the ones that will know the areas of information needs of the student in an institution or in an organization. And then once they select and identify those information needs, they'll be able to acquire it. The first is selection and acquisition. They'll be able to acquire those information resources. And once those information resources have been acquired, the next thing they will need to do is to process it. And this processing has to do with cataloging, classification, and then shelving the information resources at the appropriate place that will be accessible to the users. And then their other duty is to store and preserve information resources. They store it in a rightful place and preserving it in such a way that even if like natural disaster occur, they can be able to retrieve that same information resources and then circulate it around to the users. So their duty varies, and then being able to circulate that information resources to their user, before then they have to be able to retrieve that information from where they store it and then being able to disseminate it to the user. So the duty of a librarian ranges from selection to dissemination of information resources. And then we are talking about electronic librarian in this very topic. So what are those duties of a librarian in a networked environment? The duties of a librarian in a network environment consists of, first of all, as internet service provider. They are the ones in the library when you get there. They are the ones to be able to ensure that the users have access to the internet so as to be able to use the information resources provided in the library. And then they also serve as intermediaries between the vendor or the publisher and the user. The librarian is an serve as an intermediary who stands in between the vendor and then making that book accessible to the user. So they also serve as an educator, educating library users on how to go about with the usage of information resources in the library, educating them on how to navigate or retrieve the information resources. And they also serve as a content interpreter and evaluator of information resource. This one, their main duty is when they get an information resource, like say maybe in another language which is not used in English, publishing a book that is not written in English, they are the ones that will serve as content interpreter and evaluator of information, and then they can now be able to evaluate and interpret that information into the language that can easily be understood by the user. And then they also, yes, serve as the content interpreter and evaluator. So the duty of a librarian in a network environment is very important, because even when we are here as users, they are working seriously to see how this information can be provided to us and in a well understood language and manner. So what are these related professions of librarianship? Now, as we can see from this picture, the next related profession of librarianship is archivist. Archivists are the ones who stay in, archives, taking care of the old recorded events or materials, for posterity measures. So the next ones are the information broker. These are the people who serve as, let's say, information communicator. They are the ones that once they get an information, they'll be able to circulate it to people, and then also an educator. This educator has to do with lecturing, teaching as a librarian, or even related profession here. They can teach a course like library and information science. They can teach a course like archival and museum studies. So they serve as an educator. All of them work hand in hand with the librarian, to satisfy information need of the user. We have database managers. These are the people like all these EBSCO host, Hinary, the JSTOR. Theirs is to get the soft copy of those information resources and then, convert it to the librarian, and then everything just work together for us to be able to achieve the success of our user. We also have a journalist. A journalist is a person who acquires information that are written or recorded, and they can also be a writer. But then their basic work is to convey and communicate the information to people via channels like television, radios. They'll just give it like broadcasters, yes. So they just convey the information to people. We also have editors that edit people work and then maybe proofread it and then now circulate it to the publisher. So we also have a curator. This curator is in charge of the museum and art gallery. They are the ones that, conserve those artifacts that are in art gallery and then preserve it in such a way that, the generation to come will be able to come around and still make use of those images that are available in the museum. And then we also have an information scientist. All these people are the ones that will just acquire information from anywhere, just couple it in such a way that will be understood by even a layman. So these are the related profession of librarianship, and we all work together to achieve satisfaction for the information users who comes to the library to make use of our information. So we can see here in the conclusion that the library and information profession is very wide. The scope of information and profession is limited to the information as a thing, and that may be in the form of written documents, printed materials, or digital or digitized material. Thus, any activity that involves with the handling of information, such as creation, searching, acquisition, and organization, analysis, storage, retrieval, communication and dissemination, preservation, management, and evaluation of information resources are all grouped together as information profession. So thank you, and I hope you really had the best of this time. Stay tuned for my next course. Thank you.